Hi, good evening. Welcome, everyone. Sharon Poley, and I am the Executive Director of the Fine Arts Work Center, and it is such a pleasure to welcome both our virtual and our in-person audiences this evening. The Fine Arts Work Center is committed to a dual mission. We are dedicated to encouraging the development of emerging visual artists and writers, and we are also dedicated to amplifying the creative vitality of Provincetown. To support the first part of our mission, we present a renowned 7-month fellowship in which 10 visual artists and 10 writers granted 7 months of time and space to come to Provincetown to work and create community and focus. Welcome to all of our fellows in attendance tonight. This evening, we're particularly pleased to highlight the work of visual arts fellow Nick Fagan, which is on view in the Hudson D. Walker. After the reading this evening, take a moment to take a look at that show. To further the second part of our mission, each year we bring nationally recognized artists and writers to Provincetown for readings, exhibitions, artist talks, all free and open to the public. Tonight's event is a free public program series, and we are so honored to welcome past fellow Chris Stuck this evening, and we look forward to hearing his work. We're deeply grateful to all of the who make our work possible. Together, we have created a community that truly shapes contemporary culture. Special thanks to our institutional funders, the National Endowment for Arts, the Massachusetts Cultural Council, the Foundation of Cape Cod, the Cape Cod Foundation, the Homestead Foundation, and the Tourism Fund. I particularly want to lift up our partner tonight, East End Books, a beloved local in Provincetown, partners with us to manage our bookstore space. Books are available for purchase in the back, but also after the reading tonight, please do visit the bookstore located in the Hudson D. Walker Gallery. And if you'd like to purchase via the East End Books website, please just use the code EF in the memo, and that will support the Fine Arts Work Center and our partnership. Well, it's now my pleasure to introduce Andrew Meredith, my colleague, writing coordinator, about tonight's guest. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Sharon. It's with so much pleasure that I tell you that our Chris first arrived at the Fine Arts Work Center on October 1, 2001, 3 weeks after 9/11, 6 days before the U.S. started in Afghanistan, pitting cataclysm and misery on a global scale at odds with what was, I'm sure, one of the best times of his life, which is a strange, uncomfortable predicament, which might sound familiar to this year's fellows. Chris had a second-year fellowship in 2006, 2007, and since then he has lived in Portland, Oregon. He is a Pushcart Prize winner and has been published in all sorts of places. His first collection of stories, Give My Love to the Savages, was 2021 by Amistad, an imprint of HarperCollins. At least one of the stories Chris started working on as a first-year fellow. The New York Times called Give My Love to the Savages, quote, both hilarious and harrowing. This is a collection full of movement, the review goes, of intelligent people traveling to or returning once, leading to discoveries about themselves, about family, and about the human condition, and we are the beneficiaries of his labor. Please welcome Chris Stuck.
That was amazing. I don't know what to say after that. Thanks for having me. Thanks for coming out on such a beautiful night. Had a book come out over the summer. About intersections of race, masculinity, and Black life. And I'm going to read from when I wrote this story, I just crossed over into my 40s, and I was feeling sorry for myself, probably thinking about my youth and wondering where it all went, and I was thinking about up in Northern Virginia, right outside of DC, in the early 90s and mid 80s. I was thinking about all the racial slurs that were going around at the time, and slurs in general. And more specifically, I was thinking about the first time I was called nigger growing up. And the memory just kind of came to me, and I was just like, that was fucked up. So then I started to think about the second time, and then the third time, and then the fourth time. And by like the 20th time, I just said, I better write a story about this shit. So I did. It's called Every Time They Call You Nigger. It happens in kindergarten. You're 5. You and your classmates play soccer against the first graders. This is at a Catholic school in Falls Church, Virginia. School your parents decide is too goddamn expensive. In a year, we'll send you to public school where you will hear the word more often, but you're on a hot blacktop in a roiling sea of kids. It seems like there are 10 games going at once. You've been alive for only 5 years. The game works, so you stand near the goal like everyone else. The ball happens to come your way. You try to kick it, you actually connect, and your luck, headed first grader in goal. Everyone goes crazy at you with fire in his freckled face. He calls you the word just once. You've never heard it before. The venom in his voice tells you it isn't good. Jerry jumps on the head and drags him to the ground. Jerry is way darker than you and knows the meaning of the word at 5. The back of the kid's head hits sounding like someone cracking a coconut. There's blood everywhere. Kids scatter. The redhead gets led away by a team of nuns, his white dress shirt now wet and bright red. Everyone leave before going back to their games. When things settle down, you move away from goal. You let yourself get swallowed by that sea of kids so no one else can call you names. 1980, and you're what's called mixed. From that day in kindergarten on, though, the world considers you black. Not quite all the way black, but black. Black enough to be called nigger. You even look black or mixed or like you've got some black in you. This is what people are asking. If your mother's black, they say you're black. That's the all your bases are covered. You're fucking black. Your father is white of German and Irish descent. Your last name and you're a piece of this and a piece of that. You wouldn't want to be anything else. House, the word nigger exists, but mostly in the abstract. You're 3 brothers from your mother's first marriage, whose father is black and whom you grow up with may occasionally say it when your mother isn't around. She doesn't approve of the word. She's lived through segregation. She's been bussed. But at family reunion, she still laughs with all her siblings and cousins, each other the word as a punchline with love and affection. You see the word transform from slimy larva into a nimble butterfly. You watch it take flight. The second time, one of your white friends says it. Looking back, it's not unexpected. You're in 5th grade and are a form of tag in which you friends tackle the shit out of whoever is holding the football. The called Smear the Queer, but your PE teacher says you shouldn't call it that anymore. Words in their context yelled in your heads, yet sometimes you call the game Smear the Queer anyway when your teacher isn't around. In the heat of play, you tackle your friend a bit too out of him. He's gasping for air. As you get up, he wheezes, "Get off, you fucking." You remember Jerry. You're supposed to do something when a white person calls you this. The punches fly. There are bloody lips. This is a suburb meeting. A friend apologizes. He admits that he doesn't know why he used it. He says he's never even thought the word. It just came out. You and your other friends know your white friend's mother is dying of cancer and his father isn't around. He has a way worse than you and your friends of color do. You all still keep hanging out with him, but you never really forgive him. Eventually, his mother dies, and your friend, whose name you'll one day forget, moves away. The only thing you will remember is getting up after your fight when the two of you are pulled apart. You can see the recognition on Black and Hispanic friends' faces, even your Asian friends. They help you up. They take you away. They nurse your wound. At some point, you realize white people know not to use the word now, which is surprising. You have a year-long grace period when it's not part of your lexicon. You're a regular kid, you know it's the fear of an ass whipping or just looking like a racist white people. They find ways to slip up. She's white and country, horny as all get out, fast. She's your first kiss, your first feel. She teaches you how to navigate her body. It's love at first touch, but you about life in the country. You can tell she said the word before. In the woods behind your house, smoking a joint of what your friend's older brother said was super killer skunk, but what you will find out is just oregano. She says her father, a drunk back in the country, often uses the word, her grandfather too. She says, where the black people is called nigger town. She says her grandmother calls Brazil nuts nigger toes because they're darker than the other. Her uncles, religious folk, often say mother nigger instead of motherfucker. Be racist under God's eyes. He thinks this is kind of funny, the absurdity of it. Who would ever think to combine the word mother with nigger? She kisses your neck. You agree. You think you're stoned. You think about how all these words are swirling around you from centuries back, their meanings trailing behind them. But this is as far as it goes with Janelle. She gets into hard rock music, which you don't understand, but whatever, she still likes to kiss your neck. One day, while you aren't around, she walks down the school hall singing a Guns N' Roses song that says something about police and niggers and immigrants and faggots. This is just as she walks past your queer black cousin, Vanessa, who gladly kicks her ass up and down the hall. That's the end of Janelle. You break up. She moves back to the country. You later hear that she's gotten pregnant at 16 by some other black guy. Is he mixed like you? Is he from Niggertown? You and your friends think her pregnancy is sad but sort of funny. You guys wonder what'll happen to that baby. You no longer smoke oregano. You stepped up to Mexican brickweed that you buy from a senior named Black Dave. You're stoned out of your mind. You start to think, if Janelle is white, does that make her kid white too? Yep, one of your friends says, the only cracker kid in Niggertown, and you all die laughing. The word starts coming at you in a variety of ways. For example, hip hop. Thanks to your older brothers, you've always been into it. Sometimes when you were a kid, tapes from the early shows floated down to Virginia from New York City. Your brothers listened to them constantly. The Fantastic Romantic Five, the Cold Crush Brothers, the Funky Four plus one more, the Treacherous Three, Busy Bee versus Kool Moe Dee. Then the movie started coming out and the breakdancing movement blew up. Run DMC ruled MTV. Curtis Blow advertised for Sprite. But the word didn't figure during these years, not until high school, the early 90s, the golden era. Just as you stumble into young adulthood, the music starts getting grimy. Every MC says the word with love and hate. I love my niggas. Fuck you, nigga. You're called the word by cassette tapes and CDs many times over. There's no way to really track it billions and billions of times. Nigga, nigga, nicka, nucka. You love it, but you still don't say it. It's your language, but it's also taboo for the uneducated. That's the feeling. You and your friends listen to the Ghetto Boys and NWA, but you know you're not growing up in the same environment that the rappers did. Still, y'all bump that Niggas for Life album whose title had to be reversed in order to avoid being censored. It's called Eeful for Zaggin' now. That makes it even better. It's a code that only you and your friends understand. Your parents have no idea what you're talking about anymore, but they look at you suspiciously. They know y'all are up to something. Your high school years ramble along. Because you can say a certain word, you and your boys think you have something up on Whitey and your teachers. You research all the derogatory names for white people, finding out there are more for you than for them. There's Ofe, Cracker, Peckerwood, Blue-Eyed Devil, but that's it. You can't really use those. They don't have power and they're old, from your parents' generation. You're black, and though all your teachers are white, you know if you insult them, the only thing they can come back with is a word they can't say or a suspension. It's not much, but it's something. You're becoming a bit of a hardhead now. You're starting to read your father's books from the 60s and 70s, Soul on Ice, Another Country, The Life and Loves of Mr. Jive-Ass Nigger, Die, Nigger, Die. Nigger, an autobiography by Dick Gregory. Your father was a hippie and has all kinds of books. So does your mother. You're reading her Toni Morrison, Alice Walker, Gail Jones, Bucci Emecheta, and J. California Cooper. You don't understand all of it, but you're absorbing what you can. Malcolm X, directed by Spike Lee, has just come out, and you and your boys see it 7 times. Coincidentally, you're doing well in school now. Maybe you're smart, or maybe your brain is finally working the way it's supposed to. You still get high, but defiance is your new buzz. You're nursing a mild addiction to porn, black porn. But when you understand the notion of exploitation, you stop cold turkey. You're horny as fuck, but you become righteous. Your favorite part of Malcolm X is after he's ousted from the Nation of Islam when he laments that it was the best organization black people ever had, but niggas ruined it. You like this because you now know the difference between black people and niggas, the difference between niggers and niggas. You think you're a Jedi in understanding the code. Though you walk through the valley of the shadow of race, you will fear no evil. Still, you keep a mental Rolodex of when the word is used against you. When those white kids from a less diverse school happen to see you rolling in your new black Volkswagen Jetta that you bought yourself, tinted up yourself, bolted new rims on all by yourself after saving for 3 of the most boring summers ever, those dumbass white kids shout the word at you. Because they're in the 11th grade and still riding the school bus, because you have one of your cute black cousins with you who they probably think is your girlfriend, because you have a curly high-top fade like one of your favorite rappers, Special Ed, with your name razored into the back and lines in your eyebrows like one of your other favorite rappers, Big Daddy Kane. You even wear a fat dookie rope That's a big gold chain. A fat dookie rope that's way out of style and fake as fuck, and not to mention starting to turn your neck green. Naturally, you expect to be called this. You almost want to be called it. Sometimes you're surprised you don't get called the word more often. Cops are starting to look at you funny. Once your manager at the chain bookstore you work at tells you the word's original definition refers to ignorant people, not black people. He's wrong, of course. He's an older white man who thinks he's smart and talks to everyone in a you just don't get it kind of way. He's 46 and works at a bookstore which doesn't quite compute in your young head. He's kind of sweaty. So why can't white people use the word too? He says it's unfair. You say, but isn't life about context and nuance? If you look up asshole in the dictionary, it says anus, but if I call you an asshole, the meaning's different. He snaps his head at you. He's not sure if you made a point or just found a funny way to call him an asshole in front of everyone. It's a little of both. This frustrates him. You're only a senior in high school. Why aren't you a bit more stupid, given you're a semi-pro pothead? That way he could lord it over you. You wouldn't let him, though. Besides, you're taller than he is. You know, he says, there are white niggers, too. Thank God your father isn't like this. You say, why have I never heard a white person call another white person nigger, then? It's at this point that your manager decides not to talk to you about this stuff anymore. You begin to wonder who loves the word more, black people or white people. Days later, while shelving books, you hear him on the other side of the stacks talking to one of your white women coworkers. They're having what you and your friends call a white moment, white people comparing notes. He asks your coworker why it's always about race with black people. Jesus. And then he asks if she knew that you were actually black. Of course, she says. Isn't it obvious? The hair, the clothes, the Malcolm X glasses. He's blacker than most black people I know. Huh, your manager says. I thought he was just, he whispers this part, a wigger. Your coworker is even older than him. She doesn't know this term wigger, but just its similarity to nigger makes her cough and say, I don't approve of that language. Instead of saying anything, you just come around the corner with your book cart. They look like they'll eat shit a brick. You want to be a wise ass and tell them that wigger is a portmanteau, a linguistic blending of two or more words, in this case, white and nigger. Instead of referring to a person of mixed heritage like you, it refers to a white person who is infatuated with black culture. You could say all that, but then again, you've always known your manager is a chump. He's wrong about everything. It's the end of your time here. You finish out your shift, quietly hurt. You're not coming back ever again. Things are starting to get corny around here anyway. You swear off white people for a while. Not your pops, though. He's cool. For whatever reason, you don't have a ton of girls breaking down your door at the moment, but if you did, and if they were white, you'd say, I'm sorry, we're too different. You might mention the phrase, the struggle, which is understandable. You're in college now. When your dry spell ends and girls start noticing you, you ask out black girls named Ebony and Mahogany, one named Melody, Latina girls named Carmen and Mary Carmen, a girl from Eritrea named Miriam. To your surprise, some of them actually date you, but most just say, talk to the hand, and walk away. During spring semester, your sophomore year, you happen to fall in love with an Orthodox Muslim girl. She's olive-skinned and cute. She wears a hijab, which frames her face in a perfect oval. Everything else she wears is designer. She drives a brand new convertible. Her father prints pocket-sized Qurans and is a millionaire because of it. She likes that you like Malcolm X, that you're interested in Islam. On the strength of this, she lets you kiss her a few times in her car in the school parking lot. Once you ask if you can see her hair, but you don't realize how big of a deal this is. Reluctantly, she says yes. She removes her hijab. Her hair is shoulder length and colored and highlighted like any other girl's, but now she's scared. She thinks she's going to hell just for kissing you, for showing you her hair. The only way the two of you can do anything is if you convert. You're so in love that you actually consider it, but every time you smoke up, jerk off, drink too much, you know all that will go bye-bye if you devote yourself to her and Allah. Being Muslim will bring other words: raghead, sand nigger, dune coon. You realize this is probably as far as the relationship can go. You don't want to live your life that way. It's too complicated. You're black. She's Algerian. You trade stories of prejudice. You tell her James Baldwin once said Algerians were the niggers of France, and she likes that you know that. She lets you kiss her one more time. You almost think this could work, but you know you'll always feel weird about it. That wouldn't be fair to her. Being mixed and black is enough for you to handle. The combination of race and religion would totally fuck your mind up. On the last day of the semester, she gives you a pocket-sized Quran gift wrapped with a bow. You can tell she's hoping you'll read it and convert so she can introduce you to her parents, and you do read it. You talk to her on the phone about it during summer break, but then the fall semester starts. She vanishes into her new classes and you into yours. You talk on the phone once or twice, but now she's just a voice. You never see each other again. Your Ethiopian buddy, whom everyone calls Fahim the Dream, and who is technically an Orthodox Muslim too, says, you got off easy. You're riding in your Jetta, which is now showing its age. Your tent's got bubbles in it. Believe me, my dude, piety does nothing but cramp your style. You almost got hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray by love. He passes you the blunt and then turns up the Wu-Tang. You both sing, shame on a nigga who tried to run game on a nigga. For some reason, this centers you. You're no longer confused. The word is once again in play. You wipe the sweat from your brow. Phew, you think, that was a close one. Your life follows the usual ebbs and flows: college, graduation, career. The word is the thread, you are the tapestry. You realize one day that this one word follows you everywhere you go, like a black cloud or a guardian angel. You're not sure which. The concept of the real nigga soon emerges in the collective consciousness. You embody that. On the streets, it means you don't snitch, not even on your enemies. You stand by your people even when they're wrong. But you ain't in the streets, you never were. You may be a minion in the corporate world now, but you ain't no sellout. You're a double agent working in the belly of the beast. You're like Dan Freeman in that one movie, The Spook, who sat by the door. You're around more white people than ever. You may be a nigga, not a nigger, but at least you're a real one. Even white people recognize it. After your supervisor holds you hostage at the water cooler, trying to bond with you over the NBA and the NFL, you go back to your cubicle thinking you'll burn this motherfucker down. If it comes to it, you don't give a fuck. Real ones never do. Yet here you are, climbing the corporate organizational chart, snagging a couple promotions. You realize the word is invisible now. It's a look in the eyes, an unsaid word at the end of a sentence. You imagine you hear it all the time. Would you like fries with that nigger? Paper or plastic, nigger? Where's that feasibility report, nigger? I'm late for my meeting. You're not losing your mind, but you think, get a hold of yourself. You have a career now, you're shining, don't fuck this up. You just bought a new car and some rims. When footage of a famous white actor or politician saying the word comes out, you think, see, I'm not crazy. It is there, it's always been, it's never going away. Both versions, nigger, nigga. On the flip side, you hang with your cousins and you're disappointed to hear them call everyone nigga. Look at that Chinese nigga over there. Look at that Eskimo nigga, my nigga. Even squirrels and inanimate objects. You still don't say it. You realize you've actually had it easy in life, all things considered. You probably don't deserve to say it. Does anyone deserve to? You didn't grow up on food stamps. You've never seen a cockroach in your life. You've been harassed by cops only 3 times, and you're still alive to tell the tales. Sure, you've been called nigger by white people what seems like 7,867 times, but that's way fewer than other black people, fewer than your darker brothers and cousins, fewer times than your mother. You're mixed, biracial, black enough, but still not what some people consider really black. How do you reconcile this? You start dating black women exclusively. You don't dog them out either. You're special. You date the darkest sisters you can find. Your brothers have shown you the way. When you roll up on a beautiful black woman at a club, you say what your brothers would say. What's up, dark and lovely? May I have this dance? Dark and lovely is the brand of hair relaxer your mother has always used. Only black women will understand this. It's cheesy and sexist and probably racist, but the fact that you pull it out of your ass so easily shows you're down for the cause. They like that you're dark. They like that you're light-skinned. You like that they're dark. Race is a really weird thing, but it's kind of working for you now. Thanks.
Chris has generously offered to answer some questions if there's any questions from the audience. Chris, you want to come back up?
I can't see anything up here. Hey, what's up?
I enjoyed that, but when I come here, I'm always kind of confused as to whether what I'm hearing is fiction, nonfiction, or an embellishment of past. Did you really have this relationship with a Muslim girl?
Yeah, that's like I said, that's probably the most autobiographical story I'm ever gonna write in my life.
It did happen then.
Yeah, pretty much everything in that story happened.
I'm not trying to offend you. I was just curious.
Yeah, I don't take any.
You never know. I mean, I went to a reading here last week? And a woman who gave the lecture, I can't even remember what it was about, but I wanted to ask if that was true, something that happened, or whether the product of her imagination. And either way, I enjoyed it, but she didn't take questions, so.
Oh, gotcha.
I can't even remember what it was now. It was
Yeah.
only a week ago.
Right. I feel you.
I enjoyed it very much.
Cool.
Because
Thanks.
my family used to get called white niggers because we're Syrian, so
Oh,
I
right.
kind of relate to it. In fact, I think one of the reasons my brothers disliked me is, to be honest, I think they were jealous that I came out looking Caucasian.
Oh,
So my life was easier for them.
sure.
And, I was always called the white baby, but I don't mean to take up too much of your time. So.
No, I mean, that's what I was trying to get into with the story anyway, just because my older brothers are much darker than me, and I obviously, I don't have the same life that they do, so I wanted to.
Exactly. Yeah, it's easier for you.
Right, exactly. Yeah, yeah. So,
All right, thank you.
thanks. Hey.
I would just love to hear about your time here as a fellow. Whatever you're willing to share.
Sure. So yeah, I was here in 01, 02, and I I came here right from my MFA program, and I went to my MFA program right from my undergraduate program, so I was really young, and I wasn't that focused. I think I smuggled like a half a pound of weed up here with me, and still ran out. I still ran out of weed, and I think
Now they sell it in town.
I know, that's crazy, right? And I think of one of the visual artists and I had to go down to RISD and get some more, and then we came back. But by my second year, I'd gotten rid of my bad habits, but yeah. So the first year was everyone was pretty young, and like no one had book deals and stuff like that, and everyone was just, everyone was hungry. My second year, like I'd stopped writing for a while. I was just working, and then I was always hoping for a second year, just so I could get out of my job, and it finally happened, and like everyone had was on the verge of a book deal basically. So which was cool to see because it showed that it was possible. Seems like the fellows now are like already like ready to go as writers compared to like how I was in 2001. But yeah, I mean, the current visual coordinator, Me Young, we were here the first year, played a lot of ping pong. It used to ping pong table used to be on the other side of that wall. Smoked a lot of cigarettes, drank a lot. Got to try to get a lot of work done. It was cool. I'm always envious whenever I look up to see who the new fellows are. And but yeah, it took me a while to get that second year, and just applying and applying. So yeah, I hope that answered your question. Uh-huh.
I loved in that story the way that you depicted male friendship at the young ages. It's like equal parts violence and sexuality, and stuff else. I don't have questions.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, like that first story, I originally wrote more just straight off the dome, I guess. I didn't write any autobiographical or stuff, but then I somehow at some point I sort of veered off into that, and then I finally got back to it with all of these stories. And sometimes with Black writing or writers of, say, marginalized communities, people assume like everything they write is autobiographical, and I wanted to do something different. So like the rest of the stories in the collection are like way out. I mean, there's a story about a not so nice billionaire who wakes up one morning as a 6-foot-tall penis. There's a story about a Black Republican who starts to slowly turn white. So I just wanted, I think that's what took me so long to write a book, is just to find the right ideas that really, got my creative juices flowing. But yeah.
Could you talk a little bit about finding the right publisher for your book and that process for you, and like, sticking with it until you wrote the book that you wanted to write and all of that?
Sure. So, like agents and publishers always want like novels, and so I was like caught up in that for a long time, and I don't have anything against novels. I think I always liked stories better, but I was just trying to, I want to get published, and so I had some brushes with agents and editors along the way, and this is like 05, 04, and but nothing really happened with it. And then I'm just working and writing stories here and there, but, you know, eventually, you know, they got better and better, and then finally had a manuscript, and I don't know, I was never really trying to get an agent that hard, you know. I wanted just to write stories that I liked, and eventually I finished this collection. I worked in diversity management. I was like, you know, a lackey writer, and that job ended. I'm kicking around writing, and then I finally finished this book. Sent it to like 50 agents. I think I only heard back from like 4 of them. And the first agent that really jumped on it, seemed enthusiastic, I just went with him. And he's like, "This is great. It's gonna sell in a weekend, watch." And a year later, it finally sold. And he sent it to a bunch of publishers, and then I think we didn't hear, you know, you only hear from, if he sent to, I don't know, 30, maybe we heard from 9 of them. So I was just like, wow. And like I was Googling, I told Andrew this, I was Googling like, how long does it take to sell a book? And people were like 6 months. And I asked my agent, and I was just like, are we gonna keep going with this? He's like, no, I'm gonna keep sending it out. So he sent it out to, my editor's name is Tracy Sherrod for this book at Amistad, and she bought it, and then you gotta like wait 2 years and go through some edits and then copy edits and stuff like that. It was definitely a slow process, and I got a novel on submission. I'm waiting to hear back on that kind of that. I'm working on another collection of stories, and yeah, I mean, it's just, the saga continues.
I have a question, might not be a good question, but yeah, so I mean, I really appreciate the piece and you sharing the sort of honesty sort of in that piece. I was just gonna, I mean, maybe it's an unfair question, because it's like, you're like, it's a question of people having to be sort of autobiographical, but I was curious as to like, the piece feels like super reflective, and a lot of like questions surrounding like things that happen in, you know, adolescence, early adulthood. And I was curious when you wrote it, that piece, and how close you still feel to the character being described in the piece, or the person.
I always kind of feel weird reading that story, just because it is so close to me, but at the same time, even though it's very autobiographical, I did kind of move things around, and it's not me, it's a version of me, I guess. Like, I couldn't have, I don't know, I just didn't want to write my entire life, so like, that was only like half the story. So usually, once he becomes an adult, I had to like make shit up at that point, because it just wasn't that interesting to me. So my life just isn't that baller, you know what I mean? So I had to have some, and I was never really in the corporate world like this character is, and so I'm closer to the first half of the story, because those are like all my real memories, like the hip hop stuff, and just I guess I've always been interested in, I grew up mostly around my mother's side of the family, my black side of my family, so I could always see the kind of relationship that black people have with that word. And it's funny, because like, I don't, like, some of my cousins say it, but like my brothers who are just as ghetto don't say it, you know, and I've never understood why that was, and it's just, I guess, I don't know, maybe our mother just was just so against it that they just don't say it, but then I was also like intrigued by like I'm old enough to remember when like rap music, hip hop didn't have the word in it, and then like I said, like in the 90s, early 90s, you started hearing it, and then now it's just like, you hear it all the time, and there's no judgment from me about, you know, if people want to say it and take ownership of the word, I go, you know, do that, you know. Yeah, so I also didn't want to let myself off the hook because I sort of, I guess, thought ahead and realized someone could have the question that you just asked, you know, like, so yeah. Cool, thank you.
Well, thank you, Chris, for that reading tonight and sharing and so generously answering our questions at the end. I'll invite everyone to, again, go visit the gallery to see Nick Fagan's exhibition, to visit the bookstore, or to see Chris and Mi Young have a face-off in ping pong. We'll be bringing the ping pong table over. Thank you, everyone.